If you found this video enjoyable, please leave a like and hell, even subscribe if you want to. It only takes 2 clicks, and push that notification bell just to get the messages for my videos. That would be greatly appreciated. King Crimson versus Star Platinum. Ooh, this is going to be a good video. Well, hello everybody, my name is Metas, and we're going to talk about probably 2 of my favorite stands in a very complicated fight a lot of people have opinions over. Now, I think some context is needed for this fight. For a long time, I actually had a King Crimson profile pic with the start of this channel way before I have this current one, so I like King Crimson a lot, but I have also made a lot of videos on Jotaro Kujo and Star Platinum describing their powers and their abilities and overall just the powerful stand that is Star Platinum. So I've always personally thought this video was going to come one day, and right now it's that time. Surprisingly enough, there is some history in this fight. Everything including other JoJo YouTubers' opinions to online debates that have stemmed from the early 2000s, even to the original manga quoting that Jotaro would have technically fought Diavolo if given the chance. And due to this long history, there is a lot of misinformation out there, so I've kind of made this video in a way to kind of move away the misinformation and really get a really good answer to this fight. And since I've covered Jotaro a lot, I'm going to start off with Diavolo and King Crimson. So coming into this fight, Diavolo and King Crimson don't have a lot of information on them, which is ironic if you know what I mean. King Crimson and Diavolo first appear in the Mystery of King Crimson, where we see the ability of Epitaph being used but not named, the ability of Time Erasure, and the defeat of Bruno. Ability aside, it is shown that King Crimson is a ridiculously powerful stand. Depending on the scaling that you use on Bruno in his placement on the team, being maybe the first or third strongest stand user on that team, King Crimson is very, very powerful. Due to the inherent nature of King Crimson and Epitaph, it gives Diavolo the advantage in almost any fight. Having the ability to see 10 seconds into the future at max gives you a large advantage. It's basically cheat codes in real life. Everything that Bruno did in that fight was immediately countered by King Crimson and Time Erasure. If Bruno threw a round of punches, King Crimson just skipped over it. If Bruno simply tried to run away, King Crimson and Diavolo appeared right in front of him. This fight was so one-sided, at one point, Diavolo just straight up showed Bruno the future of the events that were going to happen in that fight because he just could. Like, Diavolo is not a man to mess with here. But I will say, due to the environment that they were in, King Crimson clearly had the advantage, but regardless, due to his abilities, he was going to win that fight anyway. And at the end of that fight, Diavolo in character states that he didn't want to fight all of them just because he didn't want his identity to get discovered because of this, but later in part 5 he would do the exact opposite and threaten the entire group by killing Narancia, aka Giorno at the time. So clearly he does have the confidence in his abilities to wreck an entire group of people, on a high ball of course. Now the next greatest fight that King Crimson / Epitaph appear in is against Metallica. This fight just genuinely shows the ability that is Epitaph and the durability that is Doppio / Diavolo. Doppio is shown to use Epitaph. Now Doppio is not a very good stand user, since it is implied in this chapter that he has never used King Crimson or Epitaph ever, but is still able to use the ability of precognition to basically take over the fight. Epitaph allows Doppio to see the nearby environment to give clues for future events, to overcome Risotto and Metallica. And to briefly talk about Risotto and Metallica, it is basically stated that he is probably the most skilled assassin in La Squadra. Metallica gives a lot of abilities to Risotto, that being iron manipulation in the bloodstream and the nearby environment to camouflage. These abilities are so powerful for a majority of this fight, Doppio was on the run. But once Diavolo intervened and gave a prep talk to Doppio, he was able to gain the confidence to beat Metallica, with the added buff of getting King Crimson's hands at least. It is also shown in this fight that Doppio has a lot of durability. Multiple iron objects come out of Doppio, which would kill a normal man and probably a normal stand user. But for whatever reason, Doppio was able to survive this. I'm going to be honest, I straight up can't explain why Doppio survives this. Due to his small body-like nature of being almost equivalent to a 14-year-old, he should have died relatively very early in this fight, but for whatever reason, he lives. I really can't explain it. Later in the fight, Diavolo would show up to secure the win, but we also get a very unique showing of King Crimson's abilities. While Time Erasure is active, any attacks that would harm Diavolo are skipped over, making Diavolo safe. Even with Aerosmith's involvement in this fight, I would still give it to King Crimson. This fight just shows you the difference between Doppio and Diavolo. one is an amateur versus a stand master. So basically, in the conclusion of this fight, Diavolo is just shown to probably have a lot of durability and just a really overpowered ability. Now, the next greatest fight that King Crimson has is against Silver Chariot, a previous Stardust Crusader. Now, Polnareff and Silver Chariot are no joke. They are probably, and depending on how you want to scale it, the second fastest stand in the Stardust Crusaders, and probably maybe the fourth strongest Stardust Crusader, just because of how overpowered Iggy and Avidal's abilities are. Silver Chariot has gone against very powerful stand users: Star Platinum, Magician's Red, Hanged Man, Whole Horse, and even Vanilla Ice and Cream. It's very well to say that Silver Chariot is no joke and is a ridiculously powerful stand of its own accord. But even being the second fastest stand in the Stardust Crusaders, and even possibly being maybe the fourth strongest of the Stardust Crusaders, did not stop King Crimson from absolutely fucking demolishing Polnareff. It is stated in the Part 5 manga that the reason why Polnareff lost was because he could not comprehend King Crimson's ability, and surprisingly enough, not having Jotaro there to help him. Now, I would like to mention here that this is after Part 3, meaning that possibly Silver Chariot did get stronger in between that time, meaning that King Crimson fought possibly a stronger version of Silver Chariot and won. And even with Polnareff surviving through sheer luck alone, Polnareff comes up with a strategy to detect when King Crimson is used, and well, it is effective for the first few times it is used. Eventually, and surprisingly enough, Diavolo figures this out when Giorno uses it, and it more or less just shows that Diavolo, out of all the villains, is more, competent when it comes to fighting other stand users. Plus, he made an entire organization single-handedly by himself, so I'd like to point that out too as well. And while speaking on intelligence, it is shown that, King Crimson is used extremely effectively, using the ability of surprise to kill his opponents. It's shown in literally all of his engagements, except for probably Metallica, but it's kind of used in a different way than the other ones. He even figures out how to defeat Silver Chariot Requiem. With the limited amount of information that we have on King Crimson and Diavolo, it is clearly shown that he is no joke, probably one of the better stand users in the entire series, through intelligence, ability, and just strategy. The only disadvantage I would say that King Crimson has here, and Diavolo, is that there's no direct statements on the power, the physical ability of King Crimson. There's just a lot of flavor text and just kind of really like, hey, how do we interpret the kind of, time and abilities of this stand? Very kind of similar to Wonder Review and how it has a lot of flavor text, but not like straight up physical statements about the stand. Now, moving to Jotaro, of course, we're going to use Part 3 Jotaro, but I will use feats from all the other Jotaros, but just to put it into context, even if I lowball Jotaro, this isn't a fun matchup at all. I'm not going to go too in depth here on Star Platinum because I've already done videos on that prior, but to give context, Star Platinum scales to small town level to large town level. That's about it. Star Platinum is massively faster than light. Of course, he has the worldly ability to freeze time up to 5 seconds. Now, I'm mainly going to be focusing on 3 things here: durability, speed, and power. It is stated in multiple stand stat guides that Star Platinum is faster than light, or at least bare minimum as fast as light. But if you somehow don't believe that statement, even though it came from Araki's mouth, let's get into the scaling of it. So here's some basic scaling for you. Whole Horse is consistently faster than Polnareff and Silver Chariot, even with armor off. Hierophant Green is faster than Whole Horse's bullets. Dio flicked Hierophant Green's attacks point blank casually twice. Dio even used Time Stop, which is even faster than the Emerald Splash coming from every single angle at once. This same Dio kept up with Jotaro, which eventually surpassed Dio at the very end of the fight with a rage boost. I would also like to mention, in that fight against Dio, Dio also got a power boost and Jotaro was able to surpass that, so just FYI. And fun trivia fact, Jotaro states that he holds back consistently even before fighting Dio, and he states this with Endul. Now, for whatever reason, if you don't believe the statement I said previously, here is the time when Silver Chariot in its strongest form fought Star Platinum, who was consistently holding back. Silver Chariot was able to beat Anubis, who had returned faster and stronger. Anubis in the second fight blatantly overpowers Silver Chariot, as shown said via statements of Anubis being stronger and casually reaching to Silver Chariot's speed and power. Star Platinum was able to land hits on Anubis while holding back. Anubis even confirms that Star Platinum has great speed and power that even gets to Anubis' second power amp and speed amp. Anubis states, the more we fight, the faster it gets. The next attack is going to be its fastest and strongest yet. Despite it being a 2v1, Anubis targets Jotaro even more. Polnareff moves out of the way, stating that Anubis only wants him. Star Platinum still reacts and beats Anubis. Anubis possesses Polnareff and Silver Chariot with his third amp, and Jotaro gives the fight his all, while stating he is holding back because he does not want to hurt Polnareff, which pushes Anubis to get his fourth amp. Jotaro states he is not holding back anymore and just wants to survive, and holds off Anubis on his 4th amp for a brief amount of time, then proceeds to win the fight. At the end of the day, if you don't believe Star Platinum is massively faster than Silver Chariot, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're not blatantly listening to me, then I guess. I don't really know. Even if King Crimson and Diavolo are faster than Silver Chariot, the Silver Chariot they fought had all of his armor on with no layers off, meaning that Silver Chariot wasn't at his fastest. Meaning that in character, Jotaro would literally just speed blitz King Crimson. Hell, technically King Crimson never even fought the fastest version of Silver Chariot, which is Anubis. But I will give the fact that in part 5, Polnareff states that fighting King Crimson is literally fighting luck itself, so we'll give him that. But when it comes to power, yeah, I don't even have to explain it here. King Crimson literally has nothing, and Jotaro fought Dio, who was also at town level if you use scaling from my How Strong is Star Platinum video. So yeah, I don't really know how King Crimson is gonna fight against Star Platinum, who scales to a town. So yeah, I don't really know what you're doing here. Not to also mention the fact that in part 4 it states that Star Platinum the World is the strongest stand at that time, and at that time Diavolo was, existing. And I know there's some continuity errors with that, but since the fact that this is canon means that, it's kind of being blatantly obvious here. Hell, it's kind of even implied in part 5 that Jotaro could literally take on King Crimson. So yeah, I'm just gonna point that out. And I've also come across the fact that Star Platinum might be infinitely fast, possibly, depending on how you want to scale part 6 Jotaro and his encounter with Made in Heaven. It stated that Jotaro was 2 steps away from Made in Heaven in an environment where he literally had the disadvantage and a stand that directly countered his. So yeah, Jotaro might scale to infinity speed to immeasurable speed, depending on his fight with Made in Heaven if, he wasn't in a disadvantaged state. And by the way, that is a highball speed estimate, just saying. But for the sake of argument, let's just say there wasn't enough information on King Crimson. So let's equal them out. Let's either put Jotaro at Diavolo's level or Diavolo at Jotaro's level. Who would win? And unsurprisingly enough, it would be King Crimson due to the fact of time skip and epitaph. I'm in the group that states that time erasure / epitaph is greater than time stop. I'm in that department. And if by some crazy ass, power scaling, if they were near equal to each other, yeah, I would give it to Diavolo. It is in character for Jotaro to throw a punch rather than to time stop. It is also in character for Diavolo to immediately use time skip, which immobilizes the opponent after it's ended and causes confusion, leading to, of course, King Crimson just blowing his fist through the opponent. But due to this scenario being so unlikely, Diavolo probably wouldn't be able to do this due to the sheer speed of Star Platinum and Jotaro. Hell, even if Diavolo was able to even get his fist even near Jotaro, he'd probably be able to tank it. There are feats in part 3 and part 4 where Jotaro literally starts taking, blows to the body that would kill a person. He literally takes a whole bomb to the face in part 4 and takes town level shots to the chest and probably the critical area regions of his body in part 3. So I'm gonna be real with you here. King Crimson isn't even stacking up to Jotaro here, sadly, even in the power department. And for the sake of fun and discussion, what happens if both of their abilities activate at the same time? To be totally honest, I don't even think I can answer this. I think this is more Rocky's thing, but I'm gonna give my opinion anyways. If both of the users use their time abilities at the same time, most likely Jotaro would neg time skip because there is no time in time stop. So that means King Crimson can't erase it. Meaning if both of them activated it at the same time, Jotaro would go first. And for the people that think that, wait, there is no time in time eraser, well, here's a direct quote on screen for King Crimson. But what about epitaph? I'm gonna be real with you here, bro. Even if we give Diavolo the advantage here, it still doesn't matter. I'm gonna be real with you here, dog. I'm sorry. Even if you can predict the movements of Jotaro, Jotaro is so grossly overpowered to Diavolo and King Crimson, you would just be seeing your own death. I know that's morbid, but yeah, that's the solution to this answer. Due to the lack of statements and powers for Diavolo and King Crimson in part 5, he is grossly underpowered for this fight, which makes sense. Jotaro is literally built up to be the strongest stand user in the series. surprisingly enough, time stop or not, he's literally blitzing King Crimson out of existence. I'm literally sorry to say this, but like, I don't know where this misconception where King Crimson somehow beats Jotaro. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I know where this misconception comes from. It's probably just due to, you know, fans just overhyping, you know, time skip and epitaph and videos of other JoJo YouTubers just stating their opinions without actually doing proper scaling. But like, at the end of the day, if you just look at it, just using basic scaling and just looking at statements, Jotaro just completely washes Diavolo and King Crimson. Like, I'm sorry to state this, but like, durability wise, power wise, and speed wise, he outclasses them in all these categories. Even if I give Diavolo the advantage in time skip and epitaph, it doesn't matter. Jotaro just destroys him. Well, that's going to be the end of the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, stay hydrated. I'll see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen.